Hello everyone, this is David Frazier, Frazier the Nerd with Slazer Games, coming to you for our fifth tutorial. And this is a long awaited tutorial that everybody's been waiting for. I've had a lot of comments about people wanting me to make the tutorial for how to make the fields. Now I know the fields is the main staple of the game. That's what makes everything happen. So today I'm going to be going over how to make a field. Now, on the FSUK forums, there's a great guy named bassaddict. He created a professional looking, fully functional, and up to date uh, list of the Giants Editor channels for how to make the fields and all the fruits. I'm going to put the link in the description, but that's what we're going to be working on today. Um, so let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is jump into the editor, have your map loaded up. This is our same map that we've been working with. As you can see over here, here's from everything from the previous tutorials over here. So what I did was I went ahead and made a flat area, and you should know how to do that by now by using the replace ability on the terrain editing. So I put this all at 190. So today we're going to go ahead and work with that. Now, if you go ahead and look over here in your scene graph, there is a transform group that's called fields. Now, that main field is at the 0, 0, 0 axis of the map. That's down in the middle of the map. So we're not going to be moving that at all. That's the main transfer group. Okay, now you should see one next that's called field 1. Go ahead and expand field 1 till you see all these informations here. Okay, so what we're going to do is there's two different ways to make a field. You can make the dimensions and mark the corners first, then paint it, or paint it, the field, and then move the corners to the corners. That is what I suggest, um, because with that, it'll work with multiple dimensions and heights of your field, because one corner of the field might be higher than the other corner, all that information. So if you go down this list, you'll see there's the field by trigger. What that is that's where when you're playing the game, where the little trigger where when you walk into it, it asks you if you want to buy the field. There's the field buy icon, which is just a little floaty picture of a field, that little round icon that rotates on the field that you can see when you're in game. We have the field dimensions, which this states all the corners. If you expand it, you have all the corners of the field. This marks the edges of the field. Then you have the field map indicator, which is in the little number when you go in game and you look at the PDA and you see like the green 1 for if you own it, or like the number 6 white in white where you don't own that one yet. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to close all this up so you're back to just field 1. Now this field is at the center of the world, so you want to use that as your main marker. Then what you're going to do is go to this field 1, and that's your field. Now first thing we're going to do is go ahead and move that field. So let's go up here. Let's find us a nice little spot here. And make sure you have the field 1 highlighted. Push Control B and click. Now when you do that, you're going to see that the field right here and everything relating to this transform group, which is the whole entire field, is set. Now, and I'll place it right on the level, which would be 190 for me, or whatever level you set your ground at. Now, we'll go in a little closer here, and then we'll go back through the field stuff. Um, we have the field trigger. Well, let's start with the field by icon. That's the icon, that little floaty icon that floats. That's the field by trigger, which is, this is the box the player will walk into to buy it. Then you have, we'll skip field dimension, we'll go to field map indicator. Now what that is that's just an invisible point in space. It's just a marker. Anything that's a transfer group that just has the little arrows is invisible marker. Now this is, at this point right here in the middle where all the arrows meet is where on the map, on the PDA map, when you see it in the game, where it's going to appear when you're looking at the PDA map. Now the final thing is the most important part, the field dimensions. Now if you go into the field dimensions, it's just a transform group, because that's just showing where we're going to work from that corner. Okay, now all these are also transform groups. You create them by going create transform group, but I have one included in the map, so this is what we'll how we'll work with it. See this corner right here? That is your main corner of the field. Now what happens is everything else works off that corner. So see how this corner right here is at 0, 0? That's because you have the field, which is at 0, 0. Then you have the field dimensions, that is at 0, 0 as well. But this field, see how you see the numbers here? The field is at the center of the map. The main field, everything that is field 1, is what's moved. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of average this out, because we want regular numbers. So let's just go round this up to 580 and change this to negative 20. Negative 120, sorry. Okay, now it's on even 0 axes, right? Okay, so now we have the main field there. Now, here's corner 1. Now, corner 1 says 0, 0, 0 because it's working and it sees this field 1 transform group as the center of the world. Okay, so this first corner, okay, under field dimensions, that's 0, 0 as well, because it's 0, 0 of the field 1. This corner 1 is 0, 0 of this field dimension. So, there we go. There's the corner of our field. That's our first corner. Now, you see when I click on this, it goes forward. And I click this, and it goes forward and over. Now, what it is this first corner, this is what you need to make a map. Now, if you want to get technical, you technically only need 2 markers for a square field. What's going to happen, because you basically need this one as a start point and this one as a diagonal, because what it is the game is automatically going to calculate that you need a corner here and you need a corner here to make a square. Okay, now the more points you add to the field, the more it helps the helpers that help you out. It's less the computer has to calculate. So when you make a square field, you're going to have your main corner, then you're going to have corner 1, 2, 1, 3, which is field 1, corner 3. And what you can do is go ahead and take this one, go to edit, duplicate, or control D, Now, you're going to take this and label this 4. Okay. Now, since this one and this one are in the same spot, and you look at this one, and this is forward 10 over 10. So, for this one, you don't want to go forward, you just want to go over 10, which puts you right there. Now you got corner 1, which is what everyone works at, 10 forward and over, just 10 over. That is a square field. Right now, you should be able to, if you load the game, you'll be able to plow in this field. You can actually plow everywhere, but you technically own just this field. Now, okay, before I go on any further, we're going to go to the attributes. Now, when it comes to a field, there's the main field group. Now, if you look down here, we're going to move this up some here, and this up from here. Okay, you're going to see here for the fields, this is something that's required by the game. Right here, there's an attribute called onCreate, field definition dot onCreate. So what it is it's gonna, under these fields, the game's gonna go to field 1, go to field 2, go to field 3, make the fields, and mark them out. Now, once you go to the actual physical field, the whole field, you're gonna have these ones. Okay. The field area is how many hectaacres it consists of. That's when you go to buy it and it tells you the price in the hectaacres, how much land you're buying. This is where you put the hectaacres. Now, there is a hectare calculator through Google that's really easy to do. What you're going to do is you're going to go to Google, and the only thing you have to do is type in right here, square meters to hectare. And it's actually going to show you, Google is going to provide you a converter. This is for every 1 square meter, it's going to be 0.0001 hectares. Okay, now, if you notice that this field, you look at this one's right there, and then this one's up 10, and this one's 10 over. So what you do is you take the length times the width and times them together. So this is 10 forward and 10 over, so it's 10 times 10 is 100. So that's 100 square meters. You type in 100 here, and that's how many hectaacres it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over here to where it says field. The field area is going to be 0.01 hectaacres. Okay, the field price is how much you obviously want to sell the field for. Now, there's going to be certain things, events that happen in the game where it comes to the auctions and stuff, where it's going to be randomized. But when somebody just sees the field and it's not up for auction, this is going to be the price. Now, this very first field that you have is the field that you have to have in the game, or the game will break. It's one owned field. So, what it is this first field always, well, you can have field number 2 or field number 20 be owned by the player, but at least one field has to be owned by the player. Now, so for the field that's owned by player, this first one's going to be check marked because I'm going to do 1. If you wanted number 3 to be, then this check mark will be off for 1 and 2, and then check it for field number 3. And this field, this name dictates the field number. Now, this field 1, if you have field 2, field 3, the number after that will dictate that. Okay. Now what you're going to do is, here, you can make anything here. You can put $1 because you already own it, so it's not going to show a price. And you're going to click this owned by player, and what's going to happen is, on the PDA map, you're going to see the green number 1 because you own field number 1. But when you go over to the area, this little icon here that you see is not going to be there because you already own it. Now when you make the other fields and this is unchecked, owned by player, this will float and this trigger box will be here. Now, so right now that field is ready. Now, what's going to happen here though is, this is where we get to the painting. Now, there's all certain types of fields we can make. You have the fields which are square, and the ones that are like, looks like a square with a corner cut out. And then you got the randomized fields. Now, I like making square fields. It's better for the helpers. It's easier and it looks clean. But you can make the angular ones. It's just a little bit more difficult. Now, since we have this field set up, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a field. Now, this is where where the numbers and everything will come in and be a little different. So, what you're going to do is you're going to on here where the field is right here. Now, I am sorry, I did have it on the other screen. Just to backdate, if you look for the field 1 right here, this is where the attributes I was talking about. Field area is the hectares. Field price is the price of the field, and the owned by player is if you owned it, and you have to at least have one of your fields owned. Alright. Now, and when it comes to the main field 1, you just have to have this definition right here that says field definition on create, and these fields right here have to be field 1, field 2, field 3, and that's how it recognizes the number and what number to put on the PDA. Yeah, and I'm sorry about that, where I was on the other screen. Okay, so that's the basic stuff. Now, we have this field, and if you look back over here, you see that 10 times 10 is 100, and it's 0.1 hectares. So, this is where we're going to get, everything's going to change a little bit when it comes to your numbers. I'm going to show you 2 different versions of how to make a field. Actually, I'm going to go do 3 different versions. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the way the actual painting the field looks like right away, too in depth, but I will explain it a little later. Actually, it's probably easier to explain them now. Okay, we're going to get away from the field a little bit, and we're going to get into the painting. So, I'm going to show you some information here. So what we're going to do is, you're going to go to this, okay, this is the terrain detail texture paint mode. Now, we don't want to be on that one, we want to be on the terrain foliage paint mode. So you click that, and you see that I have a square. That's because I was flattening before. That is determined by this. Now, when you do a field, you don't want fuzzy edges. It can look realistic, but it can really mess up how you mark the edges. So what you can do is you can have opacity 1, hardness 1, value 1. Make sure you have it set to square. Okay, now if you look down here, make sure you open the tab that says Foliage Layer Painting with this one. Then what you're going to do is you're going to drop down the wheat to where it says terrain detail and click on terrain detail. Terrain detail is going to be automatically set for the 0 channel. Now if you look, if you have that link and you went to that link, make sure you have the foliage channel open here and go to the bottom where it says field. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change this radius to 10. No, I'm sorry, to 5. Okay. Now, if you know anything about mathematics, the radius is half of the total width, which is half across. So if we do this by 5, this square is 10 by 10. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at your foliage channels, and you see that 0 channel over here is cultivated. That's cultivated ground. Number 1, okay, let's go to here. 0 is cultivated. And we'll go in a little bit closer. That's cultivated ground. Then, if you go to just 1 by itself, it's plowed. If you go to 2, it's let's go over here. It's sowed. So what it is this is just cultivated. This right here is just a regular plowed, like how normal field starts. This is cultivated, which means it's been, this is seeded. I'm sorry, sowed. Okay, and then the final one here is the 3 one. That's called potato dams or whatever, which is like if potatoes were planted. Now, there's also different versions of these. So if you come over here, and we go back over here, we come back to foliage channel 1, 0, I'm sorry. That's this one. This is cultivated. Now, if you look on your fields list, at the bottom, it says fertilized is channel 4. So what you're going to do is 0 plus 4 is going to be cultivated and fertilized. 1 and 4 is going to be plowed and fertilized. 2 and 4 is going to be sowed or planted and fertilized. And 3 and 4 is going to be these potato dams fertilized. Okay. These potato dams is when you're making sugar beets or beets. If you're going to plant a field, give somebody a field for that, you want to start with this. So these are 0, 1, 2, 3, and this is 0 and 4, 1 and 4, 2 and 4, 3 and 4. Okay. Now, by now you see how all of these, if you look at the lines, are all going, all the lines are going left to right or right to left, this way. Now the next channel you can pick is the angles. 5, okay, with just doing the regular channels, like 3 or like, okay, like, let's do it this way. Okay, so let's just work with the foliage channel 1, which is plowed, which is this one. So if we're gonna have a plowed field. We're going to have a plowed and fertilized field. Okay, now we're just going back to plowed, which is this one. Now, if we pick, by having just this with nothing else, it makes it the lines go this way, which is north to south. So if you look on the map, our map, north is this way, south is that way. So let's get to looking north to south here. So we're looking north to south. The next one is gonna be, we're gonna have our unfertilized, but we're gonna turn it so the plowing is northwest to southeast, which means it's gonna come from northwest and go to southeast, so at this angle. So we're gonna do 1 for plowed, and we're going to do channel 5 for the angle. Now it's going this way. Now if you take off 5 and put 6, 1 and 6, it's plowed, not fertilized, and this way. This is going west to east, east to west. Now if you go over here and take 5 and 6, 1 for the channel for the plowed, 5 and 6 for the angle. You paint that and it goes this way. It goes northeast to southwest, and that's how you have your fields angled, with the lines angled. And then that goes down the lines of the same thing with the actual fertilize. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick 1 for the channel, 4 for fertilized, 5 for the angle. Same exact thing but fertilized. Take off the 5, do the 6. That's going to be fertilized and angled, and west to east. And then you're going to go 1, 4, 5, and 6, which is going to be angled northeast, southwest, plowed, and fertilized. Now, that works. The only thing you have to do is change this one here for the way it looks. This. But make sure only one of them is checked at a time. See now, so let's guess this. If we were gonna do this one, 2, 4, and 6, that right there should be sowed, which means that it's been planted. We're gonna have the fertilizer on it for 4, and then 6 is the 90-degree angle, so it's gonna be like this. So let's go ahead and plant that. And there you go. That is a field that's been planted, fertilized, and going west to east. And you can play around with all those numbers on there, but just remember, when it comes down to it, that all these numbers can only be one. You can only have between 0 and 3. Only one of them can be checked at a time. 4 means it's been fertilized, and 5, 6, and 5 and 6 together is all these angles. Just remember, north to south means none of this is checked. 5, so it's nothing is this way, 5 is this way, 6 is this way, and 5 and 6 is that way. And it's always based on the north and south of the map. Okay, now that's how you paint. Pretty easy. I'm going to show you what comes next after this. So let's go ahead and let's find us a place to make a field. Now let's stick with like the Haagenstad map. What's going to happen is what happens is when you load up the normal map, you already know there's the harvester sitting in there in front of a fully grown field of wheat. So let's incorporate what we just learned over here with everything we learned from before. So we just say I want my field here. I know my dimensions of my field are 10 by 10. So a radius is half of 10, so you always half it to make the radius. So just say I made it I made the square area here, instead of being the, I'm sorry, the 10 by 10. Oh yeah, make sure we go ahead and turn this off when you're working with that. But let's work with this. We want, let's do something different. Everybody does wheat. So what we want is we want a totally fertilized, already seeded, cultivated land with, let's go with canola, or rape as they say. So what we're going to do is, this is 10 by 10, so the radius is 5, so this is our field. We're going to go like this, and we're going to go down to this, make sure that your terrain foliage paint mode is on. We're going to pick sowed, which is 2. We're going to pick 4, which is fertilized. And then let's just leave it there and have it going north to south. So we'll click here. Okay. So there's our field. Now we're going to go into our field a little bit like this. So there's our 10 by 10 field. That field is 10 meters by 10 meters long. Okay. That is 0.01 hectares of field. Now you're going to come out of the terrain foliage paint mode right here so that you can work with the field. Now, you want to work with field 1. Close everything up. So the only thing you see is fields and field. Okay. Now, we're going to come here. Okay. And then, this is where we mark our first corner. Now, a lot of people like the different ways you can mark it. You can put it right on the edge, or you can have a little bit out. What I like to do is make sure it's a little bit out from the actual cultivated field, so that what happens is when the worker works, you notice sometime where he'll come to the edge and stop, and he'll leave that little bit along the edge. If you bring the field edges out a little bit farther than the cultivation or the actual painted field, he'll go out to the edge and get everything. So I'm going to take this with this field 1 highlighted, push Control B, and you're going to put it right about where you want your first corner. We want it a little bit down, a little bit out. So let's 45 right about there. Okay. So now when you go in and look at it, that's where the corner of your field is. Now you can use the arrows, this little arrow and this little arrow, to see it if it's out from it. So let's go ahead and look. So it looks like it's it's out that way, but it's not out that way. So let's go ahead and take the arrows and move it out there a little bit. So you got about the same amount of space from each one. Now what you're going to do here is, this is where these numbers here, if you want it precisioned and down to 0, you can. If not, you don't have to. Because remember that this is just marking what a corner of the field is. Everything else is based off of 0, 0. So we got this corner. So now if you look here, and this is where it's going to be a little tricky. If you go to the field and expand it and go to corner 1, that's corner 1. But if you go to corner 2, see how it's not out far enough? What you can do is you can just make it a little bit farther, right there. Then go to corner 3, and we're gonna go, looks like we're gonna go out some about right there, and over right about there. And then go to corner 4, and bring it back a little bit, and over right there. Now, sometimes you gotta go in to look. See, this one actually needs to go over more, right about there, and in a little bit. Okay, now, once you got this fine-tuned here, this is where you want to play with the numbers a little bit. Okay, so, if this X is here, so that's, what that's showing is that's 0, 0. Corner 1 is 10 point, okay, let's put 0.75. Okay, 10.75, no, that's too far, so let's put, no, actually, it's probably easier. It's easier if you just click. You know what I'm going to do? Sorry guys, sometimes I'm a little bit too perfectionist about stuff. So, put the first corner where you want it. Easiest way to do it, corner 2, Control B, put it right there. Or, let's put it right there. Okay. Then you're going to go to corner 3, Control B, put it where you want it, right there. Then Control 4, Control B, put it where you want it. It puts it where. There you go. That's the best, easiest way to do it. Now we have a totally marked out field, and everything should work fine. And your farmer should, your helpers should go to the edge. There's field 1. Now now you see how everything from the starter one was set on all based off this 0 here. You notice that your field map indicator is right there. Well, you don't want, when you look on the map, you don't want it showing the corner of where the field is on the corner. So you take the field map indicator, which is the indicator on the PDA that has a number on if it's owned or not owned. It'll be invisible if it's owned, but if it's not owned, what you can do is you're going to click this field map indicator, Control B, click right there. Now, when you look at the PDA, it's going to show in the middle of the field. Also, what you're going to do is this field trigger right here. Now you're going to take this field trigger, and you don't want them to have to come here to buy it. Push Control B, click in the middle. Now what will happen is on the PDA, the number will be right here. It'll be green if it's bought, white if it's not. If it's not bought, it'll have this little floaty thing right above the field. And there you go. That is a field. Now, what we can actually do here, though, is go ahead and go back up here. Okay, and we can go ahead and take this field and duplicate it. Close everything up, take this field, edit, duplicate, or Control D. It'll make another field. Make sure you have to go up here and change this to 2, because that's the only way the game's going to recognize it as 2, and push enter. You'll hear the beep. Now we have 2 identical fields. Now what you can do is, since you have this field marked, you can just drag it over here. Now we have identical field set up like we have this one. But look at what I'm going to do. So I go into terrain paint mode again, and I try to estimate where the middle is. I'm just gonna, that's just a regular non fertilized or cultivated field, it's a cultivated field but not sowed. So there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go out of terrain paint mode. We're going to go into field 2. And since everything moves off this made field position, we'll go ahead and go look at it, get a little closer. And we'll push Control B because we have the field 2 highlighted. Click right here. And now everything will be based off of this point. Okay. There's field 2. Identical field, right? We're about to make it not identical. Okay. Now what you do is just say we don't want it square, we want it L, like a L. So the easiest way to do that is not to do this. Is not to do this. Go this way and then paint that way. That is stupid. It's stupid. I'm telling you, it's stupid. I have seen people do it this way and they can never figure out dimensions and blah 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 and all this stuff. I'm gonna show you the easy way to do it. Control Z and undo that stupid thing. Okay. Now we're gonna go back down to this field, and we know this is a 5 by this is a 10 by 10 field. Now, if we want a corner out of it, what we can do is this. You come up here to the radius, change the radius to 0.25. Oops, I'm sorry. 2.5. Okay. And there you go. That is 1/4 of the field. So what you do is you go up to the edge of the field. You get it where it looks good. And then you go down here and change it from terrain D. No, I'm sorry. See how the right mouse button is subtract? Instead of doing left mouse button, we do the right mouse button. And now we just subtracted 1/4 of the field. Stick with the main one. Work with this one. Now what you can do is you can kind of even it up a little bit more. Oops, wrong one. There we go. See, that's how you do it. Cut out, never draw. It's much easier. Because then, only thing you have to do is when you come down here to the field area, you know this one over here is 0.01. You take and times this. Just use your calculator. Grab your calculator here. Bring it up here. Go to your calculator. Take 0.00. I'm sorry. Point 0.01 and times it by 0.75, which is 75%, equals that. So now the field area for field number 2. If it ever says field 1 here when you clicked on there, just has it refreshed. Just click on the other one. And then here for field 2, field area is 0.0. Where's my calculator here? 0.0075. So you're going to go right here and put 0.0075. Okay, and there you go. You know the dimensions of it, already hectacred. Already set, but here comes the problem. We're going to go back to this field, and when you start opening it up, now the by trigger, not bad there. Field trigger, the field map trigger. Oh, make sure you come out of paint mode, sorry. So let's move it to more like in the center. So you take the field by trigger and kind of move it right here, so to say. And then the map indicator, let's go ahead, Control B and put that there too. So there's your weird funky field. The only thing is now is when you come into the dimensions though is where everything changes. You have the main corner and you want to start from the main corner. There you go. I went up here, but if I go to number 3, it's over here, but that's not part of our field. That's outside the field. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and go back to 2. You see it's at 10.47. This one's 10.75. You can half it and do all that stuff, but we're going to do it the easy way. We're going to go to, we got the first corner, we got the second corner. Oh, no, we want the third corner in a different place. Control B, right there. Okay, now that's down here, but we need to mark this corner so the guy knows where to stop. So what you do is you go to corner 4, you Control B and put it right here. Now we need more points. We need this point and this point. So let's go ahead and take this corner here, come here, and now I'm going to stop going up to the extra menu, push Control D for duplicate, push Control D for duplicate again. Now what we're going to do is come to this corner, come up here, change it to 5, push enter, go to this one, change it to 6, push enter. Now we got corner 4, there's corner 5 is in the same spot, so we're going to Control B, right there. Go to corner 6, Control B, right there. There you go. That's how you mark off an angle field, like a field like that. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and this is first one, where everything goes off of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfectly good field, already set up, already ready to go. Okay, now the next one, we're going to go ahead and close this up, so that's field number 2. You're going to come back to field number 1 because the next one, we're going to do something else. So let's come back. And now we work on freaking irregular fields. So let's go ahead and make this like 10. Go to terrain, Foliage paint mode, have it on 1. Let's do something like this. Click there. There you go. There's your field. Now, you know if you roll your mouse button and shrink it down. Okay, so now you want the corner field. Oh, I hate doing the corner field because the stupid helper goes here and then goes to turn around, doesn't detect enough, so he stops. So you gotta go this way. Gotta go this way. Oh no, he gets to this edge, doesn't detect anything over here because it's too far away. Stop. I'll show you how to make a pain in the ass field. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold down the right mouse button. Let's take some of it off. Make it real funky. So here we go. Somebody decides to make this crappy field that looks something like that or something. So here you go. We got a crap field. It can be a pain. So what we're gonna do is let's copy plane field 2 and go ahead and click on the field 2 and duplicate it. Control D. We're gonna go ahead and change the name to field 3. Okay, now we got field 3. Now we're gonna highlight Control B, put it at like your whatever major corner you're gonna start at. We're gonna open up field 3. We're gonna put the bi-trigger, Control B right there. We're gonna put the map indicator, Control B right there. So there's the average center of the field. So now we go back to the field dimensions. Open up the field dimensions. Now this one, you're gonna have to kind of work with it. Okay, so we got 2, which we Control B need right there, and then we need 3 right Control B right there. And then you gotta kind of see this funky thing. Well, instead of going like one right here to this point, then kind of down here to this point, then over here to this point, and here to here, then here to here, it doesn't like that. So what you gotta do is you gotta block it off in chunks. So since this is majorly the same thing, what you can do is go to corner 4, Control B, just put it right about, let's say here. So now it knows that kind of that edge. Actually, we need to actually bring it down some right about here. Okay. Oops. Okay. Then we're gonna go to corner 5 and go to here. This is kind of flat. We're gonna go to corner 6. Control B right about there. Now we know we need 1, 2 more. So go ahead, go to this, corner 6. Control D, Control D. Change this corner to corner 7. Change this corner to corner 8. Enter. Go to corner 7. We're going to Control B and go right here. And then corner 8, we're going to Control B and put it right there. So now we got corner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, you can do, I just did it this way to make it more complicated for you. But you don't have to do it this way. One good way, if you ever see you want to do something like that, there's a lot easier way. What we're going to do, go to corner 1, keep it at the main spot. Corner 2, go up. Corner 3, go over. Corner 4, go down. But after corner 4, you don't need corner 4. Because what it's going to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's going to cut back over to this one, which is just going to basically go angle, angle, and ignore this little thing. Because it's going to come to the edge of the plants anyway. So you can go corner 5, corner 6, corner 7, corner 8, all these extra little freaking corners. Push delete. I was pushing control to select them all. So you got corner 1, corner 2, corner 3, corner 4. And then I'll cut back to corner 1. And that's probably the easiest way to do that. And then there you go. So you now know how to make all the different types of angles. I put the link in the description. Here's all the fields. When it comes to the fields here, the only thing you really have to worry about on these fields is that each field has a field area and a field price and owned by player. Like field 2, let's do not owned. Field 3, let's do not owned. Field 3 is twice as big as the rest. This one's going to be 35. Let's go 3,000 on that one. Field 2 is smaller, so let's go down to 1,000. Okay, there we go. Now, there's your fields. Just go around, do whatever, copy, paste them. These are the only things you have to worry about. Make sure you keep everything out of under fields. All the field numbers are 1, 2, 3 consecutive. Actually, I found out that you can have field 20, field 89, field 69, whatever field. They don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can, as long as whatever number that you put after the field is the number it's going to assign to the field. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Okay, there's our fields right there for today. Go ahead and play with that list that Bassaddict did, and I'll have the link in the description. And just have some fun. Make you some fields. Try not to overcomplicate them. Um, and there's one little note that I'm going to tell you guys. And I'll be honest with you, it does frustrate me when I go into a map and it looks beautiful. The landscaping's awesome, everything's great. You get to the field, and what does the helper do when it hits this first corner? Hits a rock, hits a tree, hits a collidable bush, and I gotta hop in it and change it. Take a point from Diode. Diode is one of the big guys on FS UK. Make your trees, make your rocks, make your fences, make your bushes around the field non-collidable. Please, for the love of God, do this. Because nobody wants to play your map if they have to be jumping into their harvester and getting unhooked off of a fence or a tree every 5 seconds. Do not make collidable crap around your field. And no, it might take away from the realism, but you want people to play your map? You want people to enjoy your map? You make a map for the players. You don't make a map for yourself. So, watch the collidables, guys and gals, if you make maps as well. So, this is David Fraser with Slazer Games. Fraser the nerd in my gaming name. Coming to you from my computer for your 5th tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the length, and the next ones we're going to get more in depth into some zones. I hate it. Zones suck, but I figured out an easier way for me to get this information to you. So expect those tutorials for the chicken zone and the sheep zone and cow zone, and working with help icons, working with the horseshoes, how to do the eggs for the chickens, where they're placing those, all that stuff coming up in the future tutorials. So again, this is David Fraser with Slazer Games, and keep gaming.